Hello and welcome all of our friends once again. We're trying it again. We're back at it after a long holiday weekend and some very confusing technical difficulties. Our last attempted stream. We are back. Hello to everyone I'm already seeing in the chat. Undercover, Valen, fan favorites coming back to hopefully see the finale of Reap tonight. We'll see how things go. I am your host and Dungeon Master, Wolfe Scott, and it is a pleasure to join you once again. If you are new to Level 1 Adventuring, come here, babies. We'd love to have you. Level 1 Adventuring is a tabletop role-playing stream. It's a YouTube channel. It's a content platform. We play tons of games. We play everything from big group games that you're probably very familiar with, like D&D, and also smaller, more independent, more intimate games. Even solo games, like the ones we're playing tonight, which is Reap by Gila RPGs. And we'll get into that in a, Hold up, there's a very pesky squirrel outside, says Undercover. Yeah, go scare it. Before we get too deep in this game, you go scare that squirrel. But it's lovely to be here. Please follow us on all of our socials. On our YouTube, which we're trying to grow, the Twitter, where we drop weekly content for 5th edition Homebrew. I dropped a legendary item there today, which is like a set of blazing armbands if you're like a martial arts or like a pugilist character, which should be pretty fun. And also the Discord, where Valen says, there's a squirrel in my yard who visits me every time I come outside, and it just stares at you. I'm seeing the soon meme in my mind. Soon. Might grab a squirt gun. Oh my god. Well, I almost said, don't you mean a squirrel gun, but that's actually kind of terrible. No, please do not harm. No animals were harmed in the making of this episode of Level 1 Adventuring, I promise you. Please join us on all the socials. Our Discord as well is where we chat, we meme, we talk about the games that we're going to play. And also it's becoming a 5e play-by-post community very soon, so you can hang out, play some games. It'll be a great time. Big shout out to StreamLabs StreamSpell and our Twitch chat bot creators. All of those links are down below in the sort of doobly-doo in the description if you want to use those services yourself for visual effects or your own stream chats. And it all kicks back to us a little bit of percentage, a little help, so we thank you for that. And I would like to have a big shout out. Oh, and thank you to Tabletop Audio for the ambiance and the music that we're going to have this stream. A big shout out to Sakura Art on Fiverr. I'm going to find a way to link their stuff to in the YouTube video specifically, because I don't have it pulled up for the Twitch, but Secure Art on Twitter, because they have made our community emotes. So if you are a longtime fan of the show, you may know that, like, you know, getting our donations and things from the subs was this growing process because I wanted to pay it back to the community, and we finally sort of accrued enough gold, if you will, and I found an artist that I thought worked really reasonably well, like in terms of price and style. And so now, if you are a follower of Level 1 Adventuring, you will have some community emotes to use right off the bat. And if you subscribe, then you will have even more ones that are specific to our campaign and our characters, some of which are animated. And you'll even have your own upgraded Twitch loyalty-like badges, and for bits, there's emotes for bits, and just there's a whole bunch of stuff now that hopefully will pay back the community for all of their time and their attention and their support, which is really what all this is about. So I thank you from the bottom of my heart, Secure Art, for creating these beautiful images for us, which our community can now play with, and I'm very excited to see them play with it in the future. And I am so thankful for y'all, for subscribing, for donating, for just being the awesome humans that you are, that made all of that possible. And as our subscriber base hopefully grows, fingers crossed, knock on wood, we will get more emote slots that we can use to make even more fun new things for the community to play with. So feel free to shoot your suggestions for future emotes in the Discord or in the chat, and I'll try to remember. I polled the last group on Discord what we should make the emotes from. That's how we got our stock, our base images, so I'm hopefully ensuring there will be more in the future. But what are we doing tonight, you may ask? I will tell you. We are playing Reap by Gila RPGs. We've been playing this for about 3 sessions. This looks to maybe be our last, depending on how things go. You can never foresee the future, but I'm feeling good. What is Reap? Let me pull into solo stream mode so I can... there we go. There we go. And put me into performance mode so I don't stare at my own face. Reap is a solo RPG made by Gila RPGs. This currently is in playtest. I should say these are not the ending official rules, but these are available to download now at their website. Wow, it's actually working tonight. You know what I did? I spent money that I maybe didn't want to spend, but I upgraded my internet package to a higher amount of bits per second. And I'm hoping that fixes everything. I can't be sure. I know the rig could be more powerful. It definitely could be more powerful, and that could be a reason why I was acting so temperamental. But I'm assuming it was probably the internet, by the way that like multiple people were kind of experiencing the lagginess, and so hopefully this upgraded internet will assuage a lot of those fears and problems, and we'll be able to have more stable streams in the future, because that is what we all want. But that being said, Reap, Gila RPGs, in playtest right now. You can download this version for yourselves, and it has a Kickstarter that is going on very soon, and all of those links are in the Twitch chat as well as the YouTube description when it goes live. Beautifully illustrated. This game, Reap, is created out of the bones of a full release game that Gila did a little while back called Rune, which we also played on stream, so you can find the previous playthrough of that on YouTube if you'd like to see how another version of this game plays. But while Rune deals with sort of being like a forlorn knight wandering in a dead world, struggling against your immortality, a very Dark Souls-esque narrative and vibe, right? Reap kind of turns that on its head a little bit, and instead of being like the warrior doomed for death, you play a necromancer who commands death, right? So the mechanics of the game are almost identical with a few variations, but the feel of play is different. Whereas in Rune, you are very much designed to suffer like a Souls game. In Reap, you are sort of the opposite. You are more empowered in Reap, and your character feels more powerful. Your spells are more impactful. You have ways to manipulate your spells to make them more dramatic by collecting parts from your enemies because you are a necromancer. So there's a lot of cool ideas happening with Reap out of this Rune chassis. And also, if I'm not mistaken, Gila had just announced that they are releasing some sort of base rules, like free-to-use base rules for Rune. So if you like this system and you want to try and design things based off of it, like using it as like the backbone, that is a possibility now for you in the future. So check their Twitter for that, which is pretty cool. In general, I really had a great time with Rune. I'm having a great time with Reap. My sentiments on it are, if you want to play a game in which combat and strategy and tactics are the forefront, that's like flavored and colored with some cool lore, this is your game, right? There are other games that do, I think, more narrative stuff a little bit more. It's more expressly, right? It's like written into the rules for the story and the narrative, whereas this is a bit more clouded. It's a little more obscure. It's a little soulsy. The actual story's a little hidden. And there isn't like any overt mechanics for socialization or anything like that. But in terms of how combat feels, how fights run, how your powers work, it definitely feels like a puzzle that you have to solve, right? And so it sort of scratches that itch of problem solving, of unique combat, getting to feel like a magical badass. So there's a lot of things going in its favor, and I'm excited to see what happens with this game moving forward and the full release. Thank you, Gila RPG, Spencer Campbell of Gila RPGs, for stopping in our first stream to watch it with us and to comment as we played along. So yeah, that's what we are doing tonight. So hopefully that is a good enough description of what this game's about. we're not gonna go too wild deep in what's been happening here, but at least in terms of what has happened before, we have the YouTube for that. But the essentials of what you have to know is that in this world, the Reapers, the necromancers, of which our necromancer is this masked, robed individual by the name of Lazarus Grimstone. The necromancers, they sort of travel interdimensionally between different realms to hunt horrors, you know, creatures of great and dark power, that they will fell, and they will cultivate their soul power to empower their own necromancy. And so that is sort of the gameplay loop. You whisk yourself into a new realm, you find a horror, you defeat it, and then you become stronger. And the first realm that has been released with this game for its debut, its sort of playtest debut, is one called Kyrie, which the map I can show you is here. This is Kyrie. So this is it's a point crawl system. You know, you bounce from point to point, you do things as you discover them. Now, like I said, this is the finale. The finale. So we've been playing this for a while, and oh, Lysander has 14 health. I wrote down 17 initially. Oh, that's right, because I'm fighting. Okay, never mind. I'm like looking at my notes. The long and short of Kyrie is we showed up here, and there was a very creepy, evil temple church that had ghostly music coming out of it, and the more we discovered this place, the more we found out that it seemed that the townsfolk were being converted into this, like, divergent faith from this cursed zealot priest by the name of Lysander, and now we've kind of learned that Lysander thought that they saw God in a vision and has been, you know, calling people into his flock ever since, but what he's really discovered is some dark, malevolent force, and he has been corrupted by it. And so Lysander has become the horror, and we are here to put Lysander out of his misery and save the people of Kyrie. Save the people of Kyrie, because Lazarus isn't really here to be anybody's savior. Lazarus is here because he needs some more soul power to feed his necrotic vessels, right? That's kind of his MO. So where we last left off is we actually battled our way through the realm. Unfortunately for us, we took a little bit of time. We were being very thorough in exploring the land, which was great for us. We got a lot of rewards for doing so. But the unfortunate side effect of our very deep investigations was that Lysander had tons of time to empower himself, to make sure his congregation was strong. And so by the time we went to go face Lysander, he was at the height and the zenith of his power. So we're entering the boss fight essentially right now, but Lysander is the apex of his threat level that he could possibly be. Although I should say, we have sort of sabotaged him a little bit in that through our investigations, we found out that Lysander was, you know, coordinating a lot of these cult-like activities through the church with this haunted organ, right? Which we were able to discover and destroy ahead of time. So if you look here at Lysander's stat block, which this is going to be the stat block that we're using to fight Lysander. Lysander Reborn, meaning there was regular Lysander, which we would have had a chance to fight, but we defeated him before they had the chance to be just normal Lysander. My brain is not working. So now we have to fight strong Lysander. But you can see here, a lot of Lysander's abilities, which I just pulled away from, are based off of the organ. So because we've destroyed the organ, really we just have to worry about Lysander's base move kit, which, you know, that gives us quite an upper hand. And so that's kind of where we're at right now. We are preparing to get into this boss fight with Lysander Reborn, but with the organ sabotaged. And this is Lysander. Oh, this is our battlefield. So you can kind of see here, we have actually, let me put on our little dramatic music since we're heading into our little dramatic scene. So Lazarus has essentially just felled the guardian forces of Lysander's congregation, a group of twisted priests and one impish, devilish minion that was empowering them. And as Lysander finally takes his sickle and carves his way through the last... Oh! Feeding Beans a cookie! Thank you for feeding Beans. He's a hungry boy. He's got to get strong. He's got to fight them dragons. Level 14, Beans. You're getting strong, my lad. My lad, you're getting so strong, my lad. But as Lazarus carves his way through the last of the congregation and steps through the huge double doorways, right? The whole area has been flooded with a haunting fog ever since one particular event happened on the island, right? So very Souls-like. We have our hands on this giant double door. We push it forward. We're greeted with a wave of cold mist and smoke, which pours out of the hallways, and we can feel almost like the souls of the deceased, which Lysander has consumed, brush against our bodies. We can see their ghostly silhouettes being pushed out through these wisps of haze, and sort of, around our bodies, but unfazed as we are, being the necromancer that we happen to be. We stride forward, our black bootfalls, which unfortunately step onto this field, squish and crunch and squelch uncomfortably underneath the weight of our body, as we can now see the battlefield proper. So we have all of this blue zone down here, right? These are totems created out of the decimated and desecrated body parts of the villagers of Kyrie, right? There's probably bones and flesh and blood splattered about, creating these ancient, arcane sigils in which Lysander has painted across the black, glossy obsidian sheen of this fell church, the flooring, to communicate with his dark and fiendish god. Oh, which we had a name for the god. Oh, but maybe I didn't write it down. Oh no. That's alright. Oh, as I change my... No, we need Rune. There we go. It's alright. We don't need to know the true devil power. We know that Lysander is corrupted. But the floor is all scattered with those remnants of the villagers, which all leads up to the church... what's the word? The monuments themselves, right? These towering, I imagine that they were once these beautiful sort of like angelic statues, which were the original sort of divine center point of the religion behind Kyrie, but they have been marred and defaced by Lysander and their clergy. Perhaps they've been painted with those same bloody sigils. Perhaps the stone has been whittled away into such a form that the angels themselves look sort of perverted and almost like they are taking on some of the fiendish characteristics of Lysander's greatest, calling, the being from the beyond that he has pledged himself to. I'm trying to write a fantasy book undercover. That's what it's about. Tell us about it. And behind all of these defaced angelic monuments with cool ghostly mist pooling around their carved robes, we see Lysander proper, his back to us. I've inspired you, Undercover? My heart, thank you so much. That's what I'm here for. I am here to supply you with fantasy and adventure. That's what the stream is all about. Lysander has his back to us, right? So all we can see are these massive pooling dark robes, these once highly ceremonial clerical garments and these raiments that would denote him as sort of the head of the church, right? And we can see, we've talked a bit about how we've seen offering bowls of various body parts and blood and remains of the villagers that were cultivated for Lysander's dark rituals around the church. And I think in this moment we see that Lysander, with his back to us, is holding one of these offering bowls high above his head. And we don't see this because his back is to us, but his eyes are closed in deep communion with some force which is far beyond our realm. And sort of just tilted back, bowl high. You can probably hear it like bubbling and steaming, and there's probably the acrid smell of like slowly cooking flesh, right? As like the infernal heat of his magic is being channeled through the bowl into this vat of like human remains, and you can just hear that slightly disconnected, that concerning, sing-songy voice of Lysander in prayer with the bowl held high. Just sort of like lost in his own world, you know? And as we step into his chambers and our footfall crunch squelches, and we look down behind our masked visage, and we can see all of the destruction that Lysander has wrought, like peering through the smoke and the mist, right? We can see now all of the damage and the lives that he has stolen from the people of Kyrie. As soon as that footfall hits the ground, right? Lysander's eyes crack open, and there is a malevolent burning fire behind those eyes, right? They have been transformed into something inhuman. And what we thought were just the folds of these ever-flowing robes coming, you know, off of his body, you see sort of an errant, inhuman twitch come out from behind them as suddenly two large black leathery wings unfurl themselves from either side of him, the bowl still held high, as there is a soft smile that curls across Lysander's crooked and almost like a what's the word, eerily serene expression. You know, Lysander is so confident in the god that he has found. He is so confident in what he is doing. There is such a zen to him. There is such a peace to him, regardless of the darkness that he has committed. Oh, Fleetwood, hey, welcome. You are just hearing me talk about the intro to this dramatic moment. And there is a soft smile that cracks onto Lysander's face as Lazarus enters the battlefield, and Lysander says, "Necromancer, I was wondering when you would arrive. We were, I should say." As he like tilts the bowl back and just lets like all the blood and viscera and like gore like rain down on his body and slip down his garments and pool at his feet. And you can almost hear this sort of relieved sigh, you know, this sort of euphoria of like bathing in the sacrament. We were beginning to wonder if you had the strength to make it to our chapel, and you have finally arrived, graced us with your presence. We would thank you if you would not have already wrought such devastation upon our clergy. And you begin to see Lysander like slowly turn as the wings sort of follow his motions, you know, almost masking him for a moment, and then unfurling. And you sort of have this eerie juxtaposition of Lysander's that demonic transformation and the big outstretched fiendish wings juxtaposed against the angelic statuettes that are before him, right, that made up the original pious monuments of this place. As Lysander narrows his eyes at as Lazarus, man, too many L names. Lazarus narrows his eyes at the now fiendish priest from where he stands. So you are the famed Lysander, the twisted priest of Kyrie, the Hymnkeeper, the caller of this cursed chorus. As Lysander slowly, like, lowers the bowl downward and looks as though he's going to place it on the floor, but instead just sort of opens his hand as the bowl levitates itself, you know, with some sort of eerie telekinetic force down towards the floor, and just finds a resting place down towards the rest of the offering bowls by the angel's feet.
The one and the same. Necromancer, I would be remiss if I did not regale your power and command over the magical energies of life and death. Such mysteries have always perplexed mankind, and there have been many who have sought different avenues and paths to understanding this phenomenon. What I have found in deep communion with the other world, what we in Kyrie have discovered through our prayer, it is not too dissimilar to the same threads of fate that you tug upon. Why announce us enemies so hastily? There is so much that we can learn from one another, Necromancer. So much that we can broker between us in terms of knowledge, in terms of purpose, in terms of power.
And to this, Lazarus, you know, book in hand, the necromantic tome sort of tightens, and the one glove on his sickle at his hip.
Lysander, do not mistake your fallen ideology for my pursuit of knowledge of the other realms. You wish to use others as stepping stones. You wish to give your power to some unseen force. You wish to tear open Kyrie, become a vessel for this fiend, of which you do not fully know the scope of their ultimate goals. I would not doom Kyrie or any realm by control of the Hells or any other realm. No, I only wish to grow my influence. I wish to understand life and death to a degree which has never been understood before. What you do, steal this power, devour it, feed it to this unknown darkness. It is not a similar goal, and we are not allies in your pursuits.
And to this, Lysander sort of places his hands within his robes in a sort of disapproving gesture and leans his head down.
I see a pity. So self-possessed, so independent, so unwilling to lend your wisdom and your strength, both arcane and mundane, to a greater cause. It would pity me if it were not able to be attained in other ways.
As Lysander sort of outstretches his arms as the wings unfold, and you can see him begin to levitate a few feet above the air, a red fire now burning behind his eyes with improved strength.
I can either have your essence join willingly with the being in which empowers me, Lazarus, or I can take it from you. Those are your choices. You have but one moment to make it. Afterwards, there will be no peace brokered between us, and what you have to give will be torn from you.
And to this, Lazarus, you know, there's a smile behind the mask as the shing sickle is brandished.
I would have you try it, demon.
Lazarus says as he prepares himself for battle, unwilling to yield to Lysander's demands, and battle between Lysander, the Hymnkeeper, and Lazarus, the Master Necromancer, shall be joined. Okay. So, if y'all have been following... Oh, Fleetwood Mac gave us a surprise Pikachu in the chat. Yes. Gasp. So if we are... Oh boy, this is going to be the first time we're fighting Lysander, so there's going to be a lot of new things coming up. So this is Lysander's full stat block. Lysander, luckily, we have destroyed the organ, right? So he doesn't have any power over his music. But he does have all of his usual strengths. So what we're going to first do... Oh, I didn't open up my die apps. Let me go back to just chatting. Die app, so we can all see the rolls together, because that's always fun and exciting. There we go. Now we can go back to Souls. Now we should have a die app on there. Yeah, very good, very good, very good. All right, so what we do, we determine the enemy actions by a 1d6 roll. I think Lysander only gets one roll, right? Yeah, but all of the effects are pretty huge. Alright, so, Undercover says, rolls, you know we love them. We love them here at level 1. Ooh, Lysander's starting off strong with a 5 on the dice, which is usually pretty good for enemy rolls, so let's see. With a 5, he has a range 2 to 4, Jesus. A move 2, and a harm 2. Okay. And then let's consult this. Give baddies a reroll of the dice, Fleetwood? We just started. This is the big boss of the campaign. You're gonna have us be murdered by Lysander? Oh, you are fiendish. You are truly in cahoots with Lysander's dark god, are you not? Alright, so, thanks, I guess. Let me write this down. So Lysander has 1 reroll. So I guess next time he beefs it, we'll give him a good 1 or a 2. Yeah, we'll give him his reroll. All right. So now we know what Lysander's going to do. He's going to move, and we have to move enemies and complete any non-harm actions that they have. So this right here, these towers, which we've described as the angelic monuments, he cannot move through these, so there is a bit of a reprieve for us. Has to take him a little time to wind up. Gives us a couple moments to get a game plan together. So he's got a move 2 and a range 2 to 4. So we're gonna say 1, 2, because he can only move orthogonally. He cannot move diagonally. All right, and so we know where Lysander is. So you can see Lysander just like arms outstretched, levitating around the monument, sort of in full communion with his fiendish pact lord, sort of whispering under his breath, and you can see maybe for a moment he like points dramatically across the room to where the organ would be, and you can see once again with telekinetic force fingers hit on the keys as if it's gonna hit some triumphant discordant note, you know, to summon the ethereal power of the ghostly chorus from his clergy. But as he does so, some of the keys crack and shift, and you can hear this strange warbled broken noise like, you know, echo out of the organ, and there's sort of a gasp of surprise. No, my clergy's song. Our prayers, they have been stifled. Our voices, to him, to the other side, cut asunder. As Lysander then, like, stares back at us with renewed hate and, like, vigor. Of course. It was not enough that you would have to fell my clergy. You would have to steal our songs from our very throats. You will pay, necromancer. You will pay. And I will see your soul suffers thusly for such transgressions. And you can see, like, maybe he twists his arm into this, like, sort of fist-like gesture as the organ itself sort of ripples and crunches under his rage, almost busting it under his own fury from it not doing his will, right? So the good thing is we don't have to worry about any of the organ stuff, which is nice. Now, methinks Lysander is a bit crazy. Oh, Lysander is hella crazy. Quite literally hella crazy. Lost his mind praying to the demons, thinking that it was God. He's not doing so good. So now we get to roll. Me does think. Thinketh me do. So now we get to roll to see what Lazarus does to react to Lysander's fury and madness. So we're gonna roll 1, 2. Ooh, these are good rolls for us. A 5 and a 3 is pretty decent. So let's check our resources here. A 5 is a summoned skeleton. And we do love summoning skeletons. And a 3 is a spectral step. It's also a scythe, but like I don't want to move too close to him yet. Yeah, I think what we do is we use the 5 to summon a skeleton, and we use the spectral step to teleport, right? Now, the thing about spectral step is we can normally use this to, like, pass through Lysander and open him up for more damage. However, he's too far away. So, if anything, this just gets us moving a little bit quicker than we otherwise might ought to. So, why don't we go... Let's see, if he moves 2, right? What's his normal movement? Move 2, move 3, move... Oh, boy. Okay. So essentially, if he moves 1, 2, if he is anywhere... If we're anywhere on this row, and we're anywhere on this row, because enemies can attack and target orthogonally, right? If he rolls an attack, then we are going to be in the zone for damage, right? So we don't want to be there. That's kind of upsetting. So maybe we go 1, 2, 3 instead. Oh, he should be on the top layer. There we go. So we actually don't get as far as I'd like to get around the monument, but I think that makes sure... Oh, wait. No, we can go here. 1, 2, 3. Because he still has to move there next turn. So we have the possibility of rolling to move out of the way next turn. Yeah, we're planning one thing ahead. And then we can summon a skeleton. So we also have some resources to spend on creating a more powerful skeleton, which I think is what we're going to do. So we have bones and we have body parts. I say... Oh boy, let's look at our skeleton here. Do we just go full in? Do we make the most powerful skeleton minion that we possibly can? Do we just pump all of our resources into the skeleton and make the most powerful skeleton we ever could? Because we have the ability to do it right now. I think we do. We've had an ongoing joke on the stream of Necroku, the Goku skeleton, the most powerful skeleton. So, Undercover says, I don't think you should just yet. Ooh. Well, let's think about this here. Body part. Body parts. The only other thing we need body parts are for Spectral Step if we want to move to any place on the grid. Alright, body. What does bone do for our skeleton? Just gives it... Oh, no, gives it harm and health. Okay, so here's what we do. I think we pump all the bones into the skeleton, but we don't pump the body parts. Because the body parts still allow us to teleport any space on the grid if we want, right? So we should save the body parts for teleports. But why not? I think we should make a strong skeleton to start. And, I mean, it fits the theme of Necroku. Necroku has been one of our ongoing gags. So I think what I'm going to do... So, we'll split the difference undercover. I will pump the bones into the skeleton, but not the body parts. The body parts we will keep. So, for every bone that we add to a skeleton minion, it gets 1 harm and 1 health. So, if I say skeleton here, so this is Necroku, obviously. A normal skeleton has a health pool of 2 and a harm of 1. So if we use 3 bones, right, that is an extra 3 health and an extra 3 harm. So it's going to have a total of 5 HP. And it's going to have a damage of 1 plus is 4. So 4 damage. Or I should say harm. That is the nomenclature that Reap uses. So we have, yeah. Each skeleton has 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So with that, oh, and then we have to summon Necroku. And Necroku has maximum saturation on their image because they are the strongest of all skeletons. So where do we want to summon Necroku? Necroku can go in any adjacent unoccupied space. Huh. Maybe we put Necroku... Bring to front. Maybe we put Necroku here. So that if Lysander ends up here next turn, he doesn't directly target it before it gets close enough to strike. I think that is the move. So yeah, so Lysander, like, busts his organ and is, like, staring at Lazarus from atop his levitating perch as Lazarus, you know, stares back at Lysander.
Your song will not be the only thing I end in Kyrie today, priest.
As he cracks open his tome, he begins, like, saying his own incantations, and then tears off his mortal form, becomes this spectral, phantasmal image, and then, like a banshee himself, shrieks through the mists and the temple grounds as he teleports further away from the entrance of the prayer hall, as his body remanifests in a flash of spectral light, swings down the sickle down towards where some of the bones and body parts of the defeated villagers, or I should say the sacrificed villagers, rest. As you can see, some of those bones begin to animate on their own and slither and slide out of the necrotic, or I should say the fiendish, display, right, the sacrificial display that Lysander has created, and begin to cobble themselves together as using the extra bones, right, as Lazarus flings his necrotic vessel over his shoulder, which we have decided as a community is sort of like this large sarcophagus, right, which is filled with all of the components, the necrotic components that he collects, swings the sarcophagus around, slams it down. It cracks open as arcane light pours out of the infinite recesses of its chambers as the bones are collected inside, and this vaguely humanoid form begins to strut out, and moments later we see the one, the only Necroku, the Super Skelly, appear from beneath, or I should say outside of this spectral energy. We'll say Necroku's bones are, like, you know, elaborately carved with, like, these runic sigils, and, like, there is a symbol on its forehead which denotes it as, like, a being of ascended power in terms of skeletal minions. Maybe there's even, like, faint pinpricks of magical light in the hollow recesses of its eyes, as Lazarus swings the sarcophagus, the necrobolic time chamber, back onto his cloak.
Come, Necroku. We have a horror's soul to rape.
As you can see, like, Necroku, like, looks back at his master. His jaw sort of hangs open idly. and releases like a dry, raspy acknowledgement as they are now working in tandem. So, all right, we summoned our skeleton, we moved. Lysander does not have the ability to deal any damage to any creature in its current range, so I believe that means we head back to the top of the round in terms of actions. So the first thing we do is we roll for Lysander. So Lysander's got a 6, which is just absolutely brutal. Okay, so what does Lysander do on a 6? Range all. Range all. Not like I'm targeting a specific zone. I am targeting all zones. Okay, that's the first time I've seen that. Okay, so range all, great. It had a heal too, but he hasn't taken any damage yet, so I guess that's kind of good for us. But harm is low. So okay, so it does damage. He does damage everywhere, but not a lot. He also doesn't move, which is unfortunate for us. Dang, it's gonna be a little trickier than I thought. Lysander, you tricky boy. All right, so I think, and then we have to roll for. We gotta roll for us to see what we do. So let's roll our 2 die. A 1 and a 5. Okay. But wait. A 1 and a 5. So with a 5... Okay. So if I am here when Lysander's power kicks off, I am going to take an extra point of damage because the skeletal remains, which are on the ground, act as difficult terrain, right? And difficult terrain means we are vulnerable 1 damage. So I don't want to be on here when that goes off. If even it's just 1 extra damage, it's not what we want. But I rolled a 1, which means if I use a body point, like we talked about, I could teleport over here through Lysander, right? Which I could haunt him by doing. Because haunting is what happens when you step through someone with Spectral Step, which will make him vulnerable. And then I could use the 5. I could use the 5 to either summon another skeleton. Could use the 5 to summon another skeleton. A 0 or 1 range. Maybe I summon another skeleton. Maybe I just try to flood the board with minions, you know, while I can. Okay. Because I can still get out of there before... Yeah. Okay. So, I have to go back to my... So, I'm going to use a body part. Oh, that should be 2, not 1. 2, not 1. Okay, so let's go back here. So, that means a couple things are going to happen. Lazarus is going to teleport. Shoop. Right? Like that. In so doing, he passes through Lysander, which means he gets haunted, so I'll tilt him. So haunting means he takes 1 extra damage. On top of that, he cannot move on his next round. So he is stuck in place. Then, we will actually summon another little skelly here. Because why not, right? Give us a little another... I was going to say meat shield, but there ain't no meat on that skelly. And we have to move Necroku. Unfortunately, Necroku is going to take a point of damage in the all-range zone, which is unfortunate, but hey. I was going to say 2 points of damage. Dang. Well, I mean, I'm glad I buffed him then, because now he would have probably died. Okay, so that's what we're going to do. I reduced my thing by 1. So then what does this mean? I'm taking a look here. Haunted, +1, they cannot move. Summon a skelly. I think that's what's gonna happen. So yeah, so basically, Lysander, sees the skeleton begin to be conjured, Necroku, from, like, the sacrificial offerings that he made to his, like, dark god. and there is a scowl of contempt that crosses his features. How dare you? How dare you sup upon the joys and the feast that I have prepared for him? He has given us so much, and all you take, and take, and take. You must suffer. Suffer, thief! Suffer, scoundrel! As he, like, raises his arms, and you can see in all of that, like, the fiendish sigils which have been painted in blood, right? They begin to boil, right? They begin to boil and churn with, like, red energy as they suddenly ignite like pyres of flame. And they snake and they whirl through the room almost like serpents composed of pure fire, scouring and lashing at the walls, dragging into the stone and like leaving scorch marks and burns as they dig into the obsidian. It is in this moment that Lazarus phases out of existence, right? And then teleports through, like, through the angelic statues to appear on the other side. But unfortunately, not before suffering a bit of damage at this onslaught of blazing tendrils. In fact, all of his skeletons suffer a little bit from it. So we got Skelly. Skelly would normally have 2 HP and 1 harm, right? That's the standard Skelly. But now it's down to 1 HP, and Nekroku is down to 4. Lazarus is down to 9 HP. And as Lazarus is reforming on the other side of this angelic statuette, slams down his sarcophagus again as it cracks open, and immediately a new skeletal minion lunges out in its place as it rakes its claws against Lysander's body. Oh, and we narrated that Lysander, Lysander was phased through, right? So actually when Lazarus teleports, he does it through Lysander, doing this like big, sort of communicative gesture with the flames and the tendrils. As this is all happening, Lazarus like passes through Lysander's body, and you can see Lysander's eyes like open, and like there's like this look of aghast and surprise, and like his body shivers as like a spectral force kind of uses him, like as a temporary doorway. And now he is haunted. So you can see maybe there's even like a layer of like spectral frost that lays across his robes as he is sort of compelled to be stationary. And in this moment, that is when the skeleton lurches forward, scratches its talons, its bony claws against Lysander's robes, which means that he takes a total of 2 damage. So he is at 15 out of 17 HP. So hey, points on the board, right? And you can see Lysander recoils from this slash as his towering, imposing wicked form stares down at this, rather diminutive skeleton, all things considered, compared to him. How dare you? One who cannot even sing the song of his greatness, touch his servant, his vessel. You must be extinguished. And then we're gonna head into round 3. Okay, so we go back to Lysander. He gets another roll. Whew, I'm getting warm in here, baby. Lysander fight, getting toasty. Roll to 3, which is a range 0 to 1. Move. Oh, feed beans? Yeah, beans. Get some food. Got some extra XP. Might be able to... Level 15. Might be getting close to fighting a dragon. We'll see. Oh my god, I just noticed you can kind of see the red marks on my neck from... oh my god, from... I went to the beach, and I did not properly apply sunscreen, so I'm suffering a little bit for it. But hopefully that doesn't... that doesn't scare y'all. Alright, so... Lysander's got a range 0 to 1, so this is like close to a melee strike. But a move 3. Okay. and then a block 2. Dang, block 2. So, gonna absorb some damage from us. And then a harm 3. Oh, dang, this is a big attack for Lysander in terms of melee range. I think that's his biggest damage output. And that's on a 3? Dang, okay. So this skeleton's probably gonna eat it, to be fair. But now let's see what happens with Lazarus. We're gonna roll twice. We got a 4 and a 6. These are both very good rolls. So what we could do with a 4 and a 6, we could summon another minion. A 6. We can't teleport with a 6. We can strike on a 6. Oh, but we could teleport with a 3. Or a 4, I should say. So if I would go 1, 2, 3. Interesting. Yeah, kind of a risky play. Because I can phase through objects on the teleport, and I can interrupt my own movement with my actions before his happen, right? So if I would go 1, 2, 3, I would teleport myself back into the danger zone, right? But, or I could go 1, 2, 3, it'd be the same. But regardless, I could teleport through my own, no, but I want to teleport through my own minion, right? Oh, it's every enemy whose space you've teleported through. So it doesn't matter. So if I go 1, 2, 3, in mid-teleport, right, I summon a skeleton here and sort of block Lysander in. Then he would have to fight his way through these skeletons while Necroku gets closer. Okay. We also have to move Necroku. So why don't we tell Necroku to move? I want to get him out of this danger zone. Let's move him here, I guess. And let's summon another skeleton here. So we're going to go 1, 2, summon a skeleton mid-motion, 3. Right? So now Lysander cannot move because he was haunted. But he doesn't really need to move anyway, because he rolled a move 0, right? No, he moved 3, but range 0 to 1. So now let's do some. Oh, damn it! He's gonna block all that damage because he has a block 2, and the skeletons only deal 1 harm, huh? Dang. Okay, so 1 harm, 1 harm. And then block 2. I'm going to end up here. Yeah, I think that's the best we can do, is just sort of try to swarm Lysander and keep him busy while we start building up our own, repertoire of moves here. But it's a range 0 to 1 for Lysander's attack. So he can actually move into the skeleton's space. So basically what's going to happen here is, because our attacks have to resolve first, right? So what's going to happen is we teleport, we summon, Necroku moves. Skeleton attack, we are phasing through the angel statue with our book open. As another skeleton bursts out of our vessel and leaps onto the battlefield, prepared for fighting. As we rematerialize on the other side of the angel statue, Lysander's like watching our movement, right, clocking us where we're going to be, and wants to get to us as quickly as possible. And you can see there's like, that calm demeanor is beginning to give way to a bit of frustration. And you can see his like a beleaguered breath starts to increase. You can see like maybe dark smoke emanating out of his, between his lips, and more fire burning behind his eyes. You make a mockery of my chapel. You demean my place of worship! And he, like, raises his hands, and his normal human, fingers have now become these blackened talons, which rage with an aura of fire, as he strikes forward towards the skeleton, sort of releasing these waves, these claw slash mark like waves of flame before him. Stepping forward, completely decimating the skeleton, like the flaming claws rake through the bones and just absolutely sunder them and leaving them into a pile of meal on the ground. As he is... Oh, but he can't move, so he has to stay there. Right. But he's not haunted now, so I can change his orientation. As he completely decimates that one skeleton, the other skeleton tries his best to lunge at Lysander, and Lysander simply raises his palm, like doesn't even look at the skeleton, like is still recoiling from the strike from the first skeleton, and just raises his palm, and with like a flash of smoke, there's like more telekinetic force that appears like outward around him as the skeleton's like sort of like is trying to push through this invisible barrier which Lysander has just erected. You are far from strong enough to challenge me, puppet. As the skeleton cannot move forward. So completely blocks that damage. As Lysander returns his burning gaze to Lazarus. You are next, necromancer. Come, Lysander. I thirst for your fiendish flesh. We do hunt horrors for their flesh, so this is true. Alright, so now let us see what's happening here. So he's destroyed one of our skeleton minions. He's still got one over here. Nekroku's on his way. Alright, let's see. Lysander's got a 1, which means because Fleetwood gave him a point of inspiration, I re-roll this for a 5. Alright, so now got a range 2 to 4. 2 to 4. A move 2, which means he's totally going to be in range to hit Lysander unless we can figure out a way to get moving. And then a harm 2, right? Yeah. So, move enemies and complete any non-arm actions they have. So he's gonna go 1, 2. So he's pretty much flaps his wings, right? And there's a big puff of air as the mist sort of like it swirls around his body as he leaps into the dark upper chambers of the church, and Lysander looks up and can't see where Lysander has disappeared. One hand on his book, the other on his sickle. Come, Lysander. Do not play these foolish games with me. We both know you do not mean to stand down. And like as Lysander says, there's a sound of a thump and a whoosh that hits right behind Lazarus, and then slowly but surely Lysander unfurls to his maximum height, his wings outstretch, his horns sort of like raise like a great terrible crown above his head, as his body completely dwarfs Lysander's form. I do not mean to retreat, necromancer. I mean to be closer to you for your fall. Oh, never mind, he back. Okay, that's good. Undercover. And then, of course, Lazarus turns around with a gasp, not expecting to see Lysander right behind him. So, now we have to figure out what we are doing. 1, 2. 2 and a 1. That's butt. Okay. 2 and a 1, 2 and a 1. That doesn't do. 2 and a 1, 2 and a 1, 2 and a 1. If we We could summon into a 3, but that doesn't really do anything for us. A 2 and a 1. It's a rough roll. Okay, let's think. I could once again use a body part to teleport, right? So if I teleport through him, I could attack him on the way through the teleport. But that means he is gonna fire at someone, which is probably gonna be a Necroku. He'll survive, but he'll be damaged. But maybe that's it. Maybe we lead him back here. Yeah. Okay. So here's what's gonna happen. Necroku is gonna go here. And regular skeleton's gonna go here. Right? Because Lysander's gonna use one more body part to teleport. He's gonna phase through Lysander as he does this to end up here. Right? So that's the 1. That's the spending of the 1 on Spectral Step. Now, the 3 we can use as a harm 1, which, if he is Spectral Stepped, will actually increase damage by 1, which isn't amazing, but it still points on the board, right? And now Lysander's gonna have to come to us, and he's gonna have to get through all of our skeleton minions to deal damage, right? I think that's the move. So let's go back here. Yeah, we've used our body part. We are doing a 3, which is a harm 1, then +1 for the haunting. So that's 2 damage. He has no block right now on his current roll. So he has to take all of the damage, and he cannot move because he's haunted. So that means he's going to go to 14, 13 HP. Oh, did I say the weird button? No, I didn't. Beans is going off in the chat. Oh, he talked 3 times in a row. I might have to check out his what's the word, triggers. He might be shooting off one too many times. We'll see. We'll take a look at that later. Right now, we're trying to kill a demon priest. Okay, so we teleport here. So yeah, pretty much Lysander appears behind us, right? And you can see there's his claws still flaming. And he said, I wanted to be closer to you for your fall. He raises his blazing claws above his head. Let these strikes be the first to welcome you to his gates beyond. And as Lysander rakes downward, you can see the flames raging from his claws. Lazarus cracks open his book, Adosore Grace, and then sheds his mortal form, becomes a spectral image once again, as the flaming claws cut down through Lazarus's body, which just phase harmlessly through him, as Lazarus then jumps into Lysander to avoid, I guess he would have already avoided the blow, but, for a more dramatic effect, leaps once again into Lysander as he then disapparates and then reappears on the other side of the arena, and then cracking opening his book, looking across the chapel floor. Come to me, my minions. Protect your master. As the skeletons, they all clatter and clank their way dutifully over towards Lazarus. As Lysander now cuts a glance over to the necromancer, and you can see there is a newfound ire burning within his gaze, as now Lazarus has crossed the threshold behind where he normally, gives communion and where he gives his speeches and his chants. No, necromancer, you do not defile this sacred hall, not while I still draw breath, not while Lysander still keeps the hymns. And looks as if he's going to prepare for some terrible fate for our Lazarus to come. So we're taking a bit of a defensive posture here, but that might be the best thing that we can do. So Lazarus cannot move this round. So let us roll for him a 6. And he doesn't even have to move because he rolled that stupid one that lets him attack everywhere. And he heals, right? Oh, that's so brutal. Imagine if he had the organ during this fight. I'd be wrecked. Where's Lysander? Okay. Yeah, range, I'll heal 3. That is the majority of damage I did to this guy. Oh my god, that's brutal. Okay, so range, I'll harm 1, heal 3. Dang. Okay. So, so that is unfortunately going to kill regular Skelly because he had 1 HP left. Oh wait, we don't know that yet. We have to resolve Lazarus's turn first. We just know what's going to happen. Range, all harm 1, heal 3. We've already healed 3, so we won't worry about that. So let's instead go to Lazarus. Let's roll a couple die. Oh my god, are you kidding me? A 1 and a 2 again? That's the same thing we rolled. Yo, we do not have that kind of time to be wasting right now with that. Oh, but wait, he's also on a bit of, ooh, okay, ooh. He's also on difficult terrain, which means he is taking an extra bit of damage right now. Give the baddies a reroll of the dice, Fleetwood. Another one? Oh no, why did you do this to me? Why have you done this? Alright, I'm writing it down. He's got another one to spend. He's already just healed the majority of damage I just did to him. Yeah, look at those new emotes in the chat. Nice, thank you, Fleetwood. You broke them in. You have christened our maiden voyage with the L1A emotes. And a sub 1. Look at you go. Did you also notice your little wooden sword sub badge? Yeah, they're all new emotes. You missed the beginning of the stream, but yeah, we got new emotes made for all sub tiers 1, 2, and 3. They're all characters from the various games we're playing. We have bit emotes now. We got everything. We're stacked. Okay, but back to me being sad about my life. Okay. God, do I do something dumb? No, because I want him to come to me, but he's just gonna kill the skeleton. But, okay. Okay, I have a plan. It's kind of dumb, but I mean, why wouldn't it be? If I use my last body part, right? If I do a really super overcomplicated teleport, right? Because 3 is a harm 1, right? So if I go like ba 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 ba, essentially do a big figure 8 and end up right back where I started. I could use the 3 to attack while I'm mid teleport on Lysander, right? So he will be haunted, which is a +1 damage. He'll be on difficult terrain, which is +1 damage, and I will be doing 1 damage. So I will essentially erase the healing that he has just done, right? Which sucks that I have to use all that resources just to do what I already did, right? But, I mean, otherwise, if I don't keep the pressure up, he will continue to heal, and I'll lose all my progress. So, we shouldn't have that. So yeah, and then we want him to come our way anyway, so he has to fight through the skeletons. So I think that's what we do. I think we make a really overcomplicated teleport. We go end up right back where we were. He'll once again be unable to move. We'll deal 3 damage, which will put him back at 13. Now, unfortunately, we will still take a point of damage because right now he has range all, and that means our skeleton minion will still die, and the Necroca will go down to 3 HP, even though he hasn't gotten a hit off yet. Gosh dang it. Maybe you were right, Undercover. Maybe we shouldn't have summoned Necroku so early on. I didn't think he had a range all attack. And so, yeah, so basically, Lysander sees us get on the other side of his pulpit, right? And is like, now we're back where all of his objects of worship are, where his altar is, where his communion bowl rests, where he, like, bathed himself in the sacrificial rites, and he is no longer dealing with it, as he says, Necromancer, you have disrespected our congregation for the last time. Come, feel the wrath of his eminence. And, like, raises his hand, and once again, all the fiendish sigils painted in blood rage and roar to fiery life. And, like, the tendrils of flame whip around, scoring and striking through the bodies of both Lazarus and his minions. Lazarus uses his opportunity to, once again, become spectral and levitate with his wraith form through the angelic monuments back into Lazarus, and mid-teleport, as Lazarus is sort of, like, reeling from this spectral onslaught of his, like, organs once again. What is this? Like, recoiling from it, Lazarus spins his sickle in hand, and, like, strikes through the robes. You can hear a sort of squelch cut through the dark fabric. But as the cloth, breaks free underneath the blade, actually, no, there will be blood, but this time it is not red blood. It is the same black bile, the ichor, that spills out of the imps, right? Because Lysander has now sort of taken on some sort of demonic apotheosis, so his insides are more like demon insides now. So yes, you can see there is a sort of thick black paste which erupts from the wound and slaps against the stones as Lysander grips his wound. How dare you? How dare you tear open his prophet, the one who delivers his song, and retreat like the coward that you are? Face me, necromancer! Face me! As he begins to reel up once again and rear his claws, which burn with embers and firelight, still has plenty of fight left in him. Oh god, okay, so now we gotta go back to the top of the round. We gotta go with okay, so Lysander rolled a 1, but because Fleetwood so graciously gifted him a point of inspiration, thanks, Mac, we have to re-roll that. Okay. Oh, it's the same. Okay, haha. Your fiendish methods will not prevail this day, Fleetwood. It's only a point better, which is the same result. Okay, so it is a ranged attack, but he can't move, which is good. Gray's scooping up her rocks. So what? Alright, so we got a range 2 to 3. Can't use the move, so we're not even gonna worry about it. I'm not worried about it. He's got to heal 1, though. Get out of here with these heals. So what? Okay. So what is Lazarus gonna do? We can't kite him anymore with all range teleports. We have to kind of move toward him. Maybe we let Necroku move 1 up, right? So we can, because 2 characters can occupy the same space. So now no matter which way Lysander comes, Necroku has a access point. And then let's see what happens with us. We're gonna roll twice. A 3 and a 1. Jesus, these are just not what I want to see happen on my rolls. A 4 is a skeleton, though. A 4 is a skeleton. So what is the closest distance? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So he's got to come this way if he wants to fight us. Ooh. Okay. So maybe we summon a skeleton here. It was a 4 and a 1, right? Yeah, a 3 and a 1, which equals a 4. Yeah, I think we use them both to summon the skeleton. And we just bide our time. Because Lysander cannot move, although I will re-straighten out his token, because now, this next turn, he'll be able to move, right? So yes, Lysander is sort of struggling against that spectral frost, which is built against his form as we've, like, stepped through him. And there's, like, you can see the smoke and the fire beginning to grow upon his shoulders like a mantle. And with one triumphant... the fire, like, peels off his body and, like, flings off the crust of ice that was slowly growing along his form. And you can see as he releases his arms outward, one of the one of the sheets of fire that was peeling off his body as an aura is tossed to the side of his body, like a fireball, as it streaks from here, you know, like 1, 2, 3, 4, and explodes against the wall right near where this hallway leads into the altar chamber. You cannot maintain me for long, Lazarus. His will cannot be denied, and it moves through me like a holy fire. As Lazarus grumbles under his breath, might not be able to hold you, but I can stall you. Ooh, audio is glitching, you say? What, audio is in, like, me or the music? Ba-ba-da-ba, ba-ba-da-ba. Does it look like the video's off, or is it just the audio? Just video or audio? I ask to the stream friends at home. Because what I could do is maybe try take a look at my audio properties right now. No, it's still picking up my microphone. At least it should be. What I could do... Oh, it's cleared up now? Okay. Could just... Sorry, I put myself on mute when I shouldn't have. Yes, thank you. Momentary dip, but thank you so much for being so prevalent in the chat. Okay, so he throws a fireball, it explodes, nothing happens. We stall him by summoning another skeleton. We're kind of playing I mean, hey, we're a necromancer. We build an army of minions. We hope that it sustains us. I think that's all we do for now. We go back to Lazarus's turn. Lazarus, oh my god, getting the 6. No, it's okay, Undercover, no false alarm. We love to see what's happening in the chat with the rest of everybody. This range all is so frustrating. And does that mean he's gonna heal 3, right? Oh my god, it means he's gonna heal 3. That's all the damage I've done to him this entire fight. Oh my god, that's heartbreaking. That is heartbreaking. Okay. It's heartbreaking. Alright, so Necroku's gonna lose 1 more HP. Skelly, regular Skelly is gonna go down to 1 HP. Oof. What happens with us? 3 and a 1 is another 4. Oy vey. I think we just summon another skeleton. Which means it's gonna immediately enter with 1 HP, but I think we just flood the board. We just flood the board. Dang, this sucks. That range all is so brutal. Yeah. Alright. We gotta do it, and then we take a point as well. So yeah, one of the skellies. This is the newest summon skelly, so this one dies. So we'll put this one here instead when we summon our new buddy. Right? Or was I saying they both were down to 1? I think that's what I was saying. I think I'm stupid. I think we still have all 3 of these, but they're just all down to 1 HP now. Okay. So Lazarus once again, or so Lysander once again sees that we're building our army of skeletons as a cruel smile twists across his lips. You may summon as many of your forgotten playthings as you desire, necromancer, but they cannot replace the faith of this church, and they cannot overwhelm the power of his majesty. More columns of fire that become serpents of flame streak throughout the halls, burns and charges to the majority of our skeletons, hits us, but does not fell us just yet. But we can see that this mantle of fire that encaps him does sort of like melt the wound that we've just carved across his robes neatly shut. And after, like, you would imagine there to be like this sort of like burn scar kind of like tissue underneath, but after a few moments it sort of like inflates and stretches and flattens itself against its bones, and now he looks completely normal and healed and at full health, which is unfortunate. As Lazarus, you know, narrows his eyes behind his mask at Lysander. You can only sustain this fiendish energy for so long, priest. It will fail you, and the moment it does, I will be there to reap your soul. Oh my god. Brutal, though. Brutal to lose all that damage. I do hear tabletop audio kind of in and outy. Let's pause it. Play it again. See what happens. Okay. Oh boy. Alright, we're back to the top of the round. This Lysander, that hit 3? How are you supposed to keep up with that? Alright, he's got a 1, which is good for us, I think. So he's gonna move to... he's gonna heal, but doesn't matter. Okay, so he's gonna move to... So he's gonna go 1, 2. He's getting closer. We're gonna move Kroku here. And we're gonna move this skeleton here. Right? So he's got a range 3, move to 1, which he can't heal, so it doesn't matter. Harm 2. Okay. So... Huh. Let's do this. Let's add that. Let's add it again and play it. There we go. Tabletop audio can be a little in and out sometimes. Okay. So we're just kind of piling the skeletons in front of Lysander to try and fight through us, right? But now let's see what happens. But at least they didn't get, like, zoned out with that range all. So now let's try and see what happens with us. We got a 1. Why do I keep rolling 1? Give me anything else other than a 1. Come on. Brutal. So we got another 5. We could teleport. Does that help us? 1, 2, 3. No, we'd be in his space. We don't want to be there. We could just summon another skeleton on this side. Because a teleport, a move isn't going to do anything yet. I think that's what we do. What is it? I rolled a 4 and a 1. I can't move with a 1 on the scythe. Yeah. I think I summon a skeleton here. Alright, so we have Skelly 1. So Necroku, we're gonna say this is Skelly 1. Skelly 1. Skelly 2, and then Skelly 3 is going to be up here. So from least to greatest, 2 HP. Okay. What do we got? What do we got? What do we got? What do we got? So Lysander just unfurls his wings and begins to flap forward. 2 flame-like orbs roasting within his hands, sort of like throwing them throughout the arena and having them explode across the walls and erupt, you know, some of the tributes and the totems that have been erected in honor of his god in his rage to close the gap between us, making a show of his power, but unfortunately is not able, well, fortunately for us, is not able to actually get anywhere constructive with his displays of power, as we conjure another skeleton in hopes of creating a bastion of bones around us to maintain us through this fight. We're gonna see. He's getting closer now. We're gonna see if this all pays off. We're planning a few steps ahead. Now we're gonna go back to the top. Lysander's gonna go with a 4. What does a 4 do? Have we rolled a 4 for him yet? A move 3. Oh, it's that block 2, huh? Okay. So that is going to put him in front of the skeletons. 1, 2. Oh, bring to front. This is going to be an interesting turn. He can't move into the space because there's already 2 creatures here. But he is going to block 3. Block 3, and he has harm 2. Harm 2. Move 3. Yeah, block 2. Oh, harm 3. Harm 3. Okay. And he's still on this haunted patch. So, okay, let's see what happens here with us. A 3 and a 2, that's something, right? A 3 and a 2, there's progress. So a 3 is a spectral step. This could get interesting. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. And then what is a 2? Is a strike? Oh boy. Okay. This might be a dumb move, but I mean, like, we gotta do something, because he's fully healed right now. So if we let this continue, it's gonna be so bad for us. So we've set this trap of skeletons, right? So our actions go first, and then his actions trigger. So he's moved here. His harm is not triggered yet, which is a harm 3, and he's got a block 3. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna use the 3 to teleport 1, 2, 3, right? That means we're passing through Lysander, which means he's haunted, right? Now, we also, on that 2, we have a move 1 and a harm 1, so we can strike him and then still move to get to this diagonal angle where he can't hit us. Right? So, order of operations is going to look at this. We teleport through here, then we strike, and then we move. So he's haunted. He has 1 vulnerability, so that's 2 damage. Then we strike him for 3 damage. Then, Skeleton 1 hits him for 4 damage. And then Necroku, who is super buff, hits him for 4, which is 8 damage. Right? If I'm doing all of that math correctly. 1 for vulnerability, 1 for difficult terrain, 1 for spectral step, 1 for R damage, 1 for skeleton damage, 4 for Necroku damage. I think that's right. Now, it takes us out of our zone, and he's going to destroy one of our minions immediately. Because he has enough damage to do that. Oh, wait, but he has block 3. So that 8 damage is actually 7, 6, 5. So he's actually down to 12. But I still think it's worth it. Like, you have to do some damage. And then the skeleton will move up, and this skeleton will move up, right? Yes. So that was a harm 3. Yeah. So basically what happens is Lysander is flapping his way towards this like legion of skeletons that we've erected. Claws blazing. Hide behind these corpses all you wish, necromancer. I will tear them asunder to get to you. Just starts like tearing through the skeletons. Skeletons are fighting their way through his claw strikes, and some manage to break through his cloth and scratch through his armor as he is tearing through them. But unfortunately, that shield of flame, which is engulfing his body, is resisting some of their blows, pretty much burning their marrow and their skeletal form alive, you know, or I should say dead, as they're obliterating them. As that is happening, Lazarus becomes a wraith, through his skeleton, snakes through his army, through Lazarus, and as Lysander is like, we'll tear through them all to get to you, Lazarus whispers in the spectral form as he's passing through Lysander, not unless I come to you first. And shing! Another slice of the sickle in mid teleport, strike Lazarus against the back. You can see maybe cut through some of the leather of his wing as it releases another pop of black against the stones. Lysander left a gasp of pain. Oh! But still standing. Can't tell if this music is still acting funny. I'm gonna cut it out. I'm gonna try a different track. Seems like it's largely the same. Whatever. Alright. So we dealt really good damage, but oh boy. But we still have a lot of his health to cut through. Alright, so now we're at this angle, he can't move. That does put us at a... Fleetwood gives a reroll to the baddies, JK. Listen, Fleetwood, follow your bliss. I'm just saying, we have already suffered a great deal at Lysander's hand. So now we're gonna see what Lysander's to. A 4. He can't move. So he can only block 2, harm 3. Okay. Block is the same thing he did last time, essentially. Your audio is getting choppy, by the way. Yeah, I think it's the... I'm just stop the music. As much as I like the music, I feel like tabletop audio, when you play the music for too long, gets a little gross. Oh, look at Conimod! Conimod is unenthused by the music. Chip chop in and out. Well, alright, we'll continue without the chip chop music, and then maybe we'll... Actually, can we just refresh the page and see if that helps? Because Lord knows it's been running for a while. No. Seems to immediately be choppy, so we won't worry about it. We tried it. Tabletop audio doesn't want to play tonight. Alright, so he's gonna stay there, he's gonna strike. He's gonna kill one more skeleton again. That's fine. Because once again, we move first. So at least the skeleton will get the damage off before it dies. So Skelly 1, 2, 3. Skelly 1 died. We're gonna try to keep Necroku alive as long as we can, since it is our highest damage output. And we can choose where Lysander strikes, right? So let's go here, see what we get. 2 and a 5. Okay. A 2 and a 5, a 2 and a 5. A 2 and a 5, a 2 and a 5, a 2 and a 5. What does that get us? A 2 can be... A 5 could be a skeleton. A 2 could be a harm 1. Harm 1. Do we risk it? Let's do some math. He has 12 health right now. If I put summon a skeleton right behind him, right? That would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay. Math is not my strong suit. 4 for necromancy. 4, 5 for this one. 6 for this one. 7 for us. And then 8 for the vulnerable on the ground. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yes. I think that's what we do. It's going to put us we're going to take damage. We're going to take damage this round. We're going to take a lot of damage this round, but maybe it's worth it. You know what I'm saying? Like, we gotta make some big plays. Because if he starts healing again, we are going to be out. Oh, we have blood too. We can absorb some blood to keep us alive. So here's what's going to happen. We're going to use the 5 on summon skeleton to pull 1 right behind him, right? Then we're going to use the 2 to move 1, harm 1, right? Also, before this happens, I will use the blood. We are now completely out of components, but that is going to heal us 1, so we'll now have heal of 8, right? I could narrate that instead Lazarus strikes one of the skeletons, but I mean, I think Lysander would strike one of the skeletons. But I mean, this fight has been going on long enough, and Lysander definitely would want to hurt Lazarus even beyond being swarmed by enemies, right? So we're dealing 8 damage to him, minus the 3 from the block, so 7, 6, 5, so 11, 10, 9, 8, 7. It's at 7 health, right? Then he strikes us for 3, plus 1 because we are on vulnerable ground, so we're down to 4. It's a risky play. It's a risky play, but I don't think we can win this battle by trying to whittle him down. You know, he has too many mechanics that allow him to heal. The longer we let the battle go, where he can, you know, give himself more hit points, the lower our chance of victory is. So I think going on the offensive, even if it's super risky, is probably the way to go about this. And we're just gonna have to deal with the consequences, right? So yes, Lazarus sees an opportunity as Lysander is sort of struggling to, you know, use his telekinetic force to, like, vroom, 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 keep the skeletons at bay, as he's like also trying to stand atop all of the body parts and the sacrifices and the blood sigils, and sort of like blocking attacks at all angles. Lazarus sees this opportunity and quickly runs astride, you know, black cloak flowing behind him with his sickle in hand, takes a wide swing, and cuts another deep gouge along the rib cage of the demon priest. Black ichor explodes out of the wound as Lysander hisses and reactively releases one hand upward, as it then is engulfed in fire, with the talons blackened by flame as he strikes downward with fury and hate behind the strike. As Lazarus takes it full force across the chest, you can see this massive burning incision across his robes, across his chest, embers and smoke puff out along the wound as he releases a pained cry, sort of stumbles backward. Finally, you deliver yourself unto me, necromancer, just in time for you to feel the sting of his judgment. As Lazarus now looks down at his own body, now depleting of blood. You've not failed me yet, priest. as he cracks open his book. As the sigils, his own arcane tome, his neophytes necromancy tome, begin to drip with the blood that he's collected from his vessel, and you can see it all begins to rise out of the page like these columns of viscous red fluid, and they siphon and they flow into his open wound and try to staunch the bleeding and the damage as best they can. But it is no surprise here that that Lazarus has suffered a great deal of damage under the attack of Lysander, now below half health here. So let's go back to what's happening with Lysander. Lysander's got a 4. Now this isn't great for us. Oh, he's gonna roll that high block again, isn't he? That bastard. Yeah, move 3, block 2. So it's the same thing from 3. Now, we cannot take this damage here this round. We cannot take this damage here, because if we do, we die. But luckily, he's already here, which means he isn't... Oh, wait, he can move. Right. 4, yeah, he can move into our space to attack, which sucks. But Necroku can also move up. This skeleton can move up here. So he's going to leap onto us. So it's going to really depend on what we roll here. We have to roll something to move. We cannot be in... Oh boy. Okay, here we go. 1, 2... Okay, 5. What do we got here? We can do a harm 2 and a move 1. No, I think we have to teleport. We can go 1, 2. Yeah, I think we have to teleport or else we die. Beans is very hungry now. Yeah, I feel like Beans, his hungry trigger is happening twice. Normally, it's supposed to happen every, like, couple of minutes. It might be triggering twice. It's hard to tell, since he's so new. But, I mean, also, that's just Beans' thing, right? Beans is a hungry boy. I think we have to teleport or we die. I think that is the... Oh, but which way do we teleport? We could go 1, 2... and drag him back towards the skeletons. So if we go, or do we stay relatively close? If I go 1, 2, 3, I'll be at an angle. So he can't hit me diagonally. Huh. Now this skeleton can move up. This skeleton can move up. I think skeletons only have an attack range of 1. So they can't attack in his space. Yeah, range of 1. So... Oh, but they can occupy the same space. So there you go. And they're 1 away. They just can't go in there. Okay. So... If I was here, 1, 2... If he's in my space, and I teleport through him, does that count as me... Every enemy whose space you move into is haunted? No. So I'd be moving out of his space to do this. And that's fine. So he won't get haunted, but I think it's worth it to not die this turn. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4. We have another Skelly we have to account for since the last summon. Skelly. For snack, I like Scotty. Ooh, that's a good one. It's a rare treat for me, but every time I go to a coffee shop, if they have a nice looking biscotti, I'll treat myself. Yeah, we'll say Skelly 2, Skelly 3, Necroku, Skelly 4. 2, 3, Necroku 4. Yeah. Okay. So we're gonna have to do some more math. Again, he's blocking again. And we don't get the haunted bonus. But he's still on this bad terrain, which gives him extra damage, right? So we got 1, 5, 6. Necroku does 4. 1, 5, 6, 1, so 7 minus 3 is 4. So he's down to 4 HP, so he has exactly as much health as we do. Now, he does do a harm 3, which means he's totally going to obliterate a skeleton. So let's say he obliterates Skelly 2, since it has the least HP, right? Which will also give this skeleton an opportunity to turn to get into range. At least we are currently safe from any blowback from Lysander. So if we take a look... Alright, so lots happened around. So basically, Lysander is, standing above us. We're recoiling from the strike across our chest. There's a slash mark burnt. We can smell burning flesh underneath our own robes. It's like this very visceral moment where our life force is draining from us. As Lysander brings both of his hands out to the side, they're both ensorcelled with fiendish flames. Oh, Lazarus, you poor misguided fool. I gave you a chance to join our chorus, sing our song, become one with his grand voice, to echo throughout the cosmos in his infinite wisdom and fire. And you denied us. So now you must be brought to bear for your wicked foolishness. And raises up and begins to come down for a slash, and then we once again, I still have fight in me left, priest. Becomes a wraith, disappears. Lazarus just gets a claw full of mist as we whisk ourselves away from the strike zone. We kind of get just at an angle from him, right? We don't get very far, but just enough so that he turns his shoulder around to see that we've manifested out of his attack area, and then with a grumble he turns on and goes for another slash. But that's when the skeletons descend, right? They crowd around us, they begin to batter against Lysander, they begin to claw at him, and that's when once again he has to raise his hands forward and raise more telekinetic barriers between his body and the skeletons, holding them at bay. You steer the dead with such fervor, as if you are a chosen of his flock. I will put you down, heretic, and your dead children with you. As he once again is barely managing to press against the power of our necromantic energies. He's looking pretty bad. We are looking close to the end of our fight here. It's either him or us, and we are both standing at 4 HP. So a lot is going to ride on these last few rolls. So we're going to determine what Lysander's doing. He's got a 2. A 2 is not great, although it is a heal. Okay. So he's got to move 2. So 1, 2. No, he can't enter. Well, he could enter our space, but the range is 2, 3. So what is he gonna do? He wants to get to us. Oh, range 2 or 3. So he could go 1, 2, and then blast through this skeleton, right? I think that's what's gonna happen. So he's gonna gain a hit point, unfortunately. So he's going to. He's got to move to range 2, 3. Range 2, 3. Heal 1, which we've already accounted for. Harm 2. Unfortunately, harm 2 is enough to kill one of our skeletons because it's kind of a weak skeleton. But that's going to give Necroku a chance to move up. That's going to give this skelly a chance to move up. So now we just have to figure out what is happening with us. We got 1, 2. Okay, a 3 and a 4. These are respectable rolls. These are respectable rolls. So what is gonna happen? 1, 2, 3. I can't spectral step through him. Otherwise, we're gonna incur some damage. A 3 and a 4, right? 3 and a 4. 3 and a 4. 3 and a 4. 3 and a 4. Could summon another Skelly. What is a 3 on my sickle? A move 1, harm 1. Could move 1 here. Summon a Skelly here. Because he's going to kill that one. Yeah. Yeah, maybe that's what we do. So, this skeleton... Okay. So, 3 and a 4, right? 4, 3, move 1, harm 1, 4, Skelly. Okay, so our things happen first, right? So we can move down here. We can summon another skeleton minion. Now, this damage does happen between the skeleton. We attack first, right? So that skeleton would deal 1 damage, but Lysander's still standing on uneven ground, and he did not roll any block this turn. So he has to take the full 2. It isn't amazing, but that does bring him down to 3, which is getting him officially below where we are in terms of health. And then immediately he just smites this skeleton, right? So now we have Necroku, Skelly 3, Skelly 4, and we're in this corner here. So yeah, I think Lysander, I think we peel back to try and get like a better position, but Lysander takes like a heavy flap of his wings and just glides across the stones, and the mists kick up underneath of his feet. And as he's like, in the midst of pursuing us, the skeleton lurches forward, and just like with a wave of his hand, like just like the most dismissive gesture, there's like an entire wave of flame that like just like echoes out from behind his sleeves as it engulfs the skeleton. You see it become this like silhouette of black against the red and the orange, and it is like charred to a crisp and just becomes ash and like falls to cinders. You continue to run, necromancer, while speaking so boldly, yet now you're in the corner of my great chapel, and there is little left to save you. As like Lazarus stares back at Lysander. And yet, your faith wavers. I feel you succumbing to your wounds, even beyond your dark lord's strength within you. You are closer to death than you realize, Lysander the Hymnkeeper. And now we're getting into like that final crunch moment. So, oh boy, Lysander, what do you got? You got a 2? Oh boy. Okay, so it's the same as before. So he's gonna heal 1. God dang. But he can get to us with a 1-2, which means he can hit us here for 2, which would actually turn into 3 because we're on uneven ground. So once again, we kind of have to move, or else bad things are going to happen. Necroku can move up here, though, which is good. And now he's surrounded on all sides. So depending on what we roll, this might be the end of him. Actually, wait, let me see. 1, 2. Because he has it's a range 2 to 3, so he can only attack from a range 2 or 3. Okay, so that changes things a bit. He can kite us. Unfortunately, he can like flap around us. So if he has a move 2, he could go 1, 2. We can still move him up. We can still move him up, and then he would blast through this skeleton this turn and kill him. So once again, it just depends on what we roll. God dang. Okay, a 2 and a 6. Okay, 6 is good. 6 is good. What do we got on a 6? We got to move 2, harm 2. Move 2, harm 2. So this skeleton is yet to move, right? These guys have moved up. But you could move up here, right? So we might have him this round if I go a little risky, right? If I go a little risky. Because what have we got? We got a 2 and a 6. So if I say that I just use the 6 on the move 2, harm 2. So I can go 1, 2, right? You're standing on uneven ground. So that is 1 damage. Then the skeleton hits for 2 damage. Then I hit for harm 2, which is 4 damage, right? And he didn't roll any block this turn. He got the range to... he heals 1. Did we already account for that? Did we already account for the heal this round? I don't think we did. So I could take him down to 1 health. He would kill my skeleton, but I would be right up there with him. I mean, that does make for a very climactic final stand, does it not? Us being face-to-face with each other and then seeing what happens. And he'd be at 1 hit point. I think that's what we do. Okay, so basically, the skeletons are ever approaching. Our minion lurches forward a little bit. It tries to swing at Lysander, but Lysander takes another big whoosh, a woof of his wings as he leaps backward, his dark priestly robes like fluttering in the wind, as in midair, like the flames around his talons coalesce into an orb in front of him and releases like a blast of flame. It hits our skeletal minion straight on and just pulverizes it. But in the ashes and the embers and smoke of that explosion, you see Lazarus like burst out with his like sickle held high. Another like scratch against the cross of Lysander's chest. Another deep wound. Another explosion of black bile and demonic ooze out of the wound as Lysander recoils his blade. Lysander at 1 hit point now as Lazarus stands before him. The roles are now reversed. You know, Lysander's now sort of down on 1 knee, his massive form looking a little crumpled and defeated before Lazarus, but there's still some fight in his breast. You know, there's the fire behind his eyes are still burning. Lazarus isn't looking too much hotter, like holding his book, holding his sickle, but the breaths are just as heavy and strained as they're both sort of like looking at each other. The end is near, necromancer, for one or the other. In these final moments will our faiths be tested, and the truth of our existence shall be revealed. Yes, and in these final moments, will you be revealed a fraud, a sham, a liar, and a tool for a misguided monster. They exchange their final taunts as the moment draws near between the end of this bout. Alright, so let's see. We gotta see what happens with Lazarus. Please don't be anything crazy. Please don't be anything crazy. A 4. Okay. So range 0. So he can move into our space, which he's going to do. He's got a block 2 and a harm 3. So this could potentially be deadly for us. Necroku's gonna move up 1. We're gonna move here. So it all, once again, I keep saying it, but it depends on what we're going to roll. So we're going to roll twice. 1, 2. We got a 1 and a 5. Okay. So here's where we're going to have to do some math. I cannot end up anywhere within or next to his space or I die. So if I go 1, 2. A reroll the dice for Lazarus? I'll take it. Let's reroll that 1. So we have a 5 and a 6. A mighty heroic 6 undercover. Okay, that's going to change things. It is good. That is very good. Because with that... Okay, with a 6... I could move to harm 2, right? And the harm can happen at any point within my movement. So I could use the 5 then for a skeleton, right? So our attacks go off before his, right? So strike 2 here, then 1, 2. Now I'm at a diagonal. He cannot attack me at a diagonal, no matter how strong he is, right? No matter how hard he's hitting. So that is going to be 2 damage from us, plus 1 from the uneven ground, plus 1 from the skeleton, plus 4 from Necroku is once again a huge hit from our big boss Skelly. Then he's going to get a block 2, which is down to 6, but he's only got 1 health. So I think with that very timely 6 undercover, I mean, he is going to kill one of our skeletons in the death throes, and I think for narrative's sake, he should probably kill Necroku because it's the one that has been the most effective of this combat. But I think, I mean, we go off first, so he might kill Necroku, but we're taking him with us, right? And we're going to be outside of the danger zone. So yeah, I think what happens is we're both staring at each other. We're breathing heavily. I'm saying, Lazarus is saying, like, you will be revealed a fraud, a sham, a scam, a liar, and a puppet. As finally, you can see Lysander stands, like, begins to flap and, like, unveils wings, begins to levitate upward. His body becomes ensorcelled with hellfire. His eyes burning like 2 columns of unholy flame, as begins to channel all of his Dark Lord's energy into him. Your holiness, your grace, your most divine, your child seeks your aid. I sing your song, hear my voice. Fell this non-believer, fell this heretic before me. Prove yourself to your congregation. As he's giving this grand, proclamation, Lazarus leaps forward, swinging the sickle in his hand, and embeds the curve of it straight into Lysander's windpipe, and, rides him down, essentially, from the air, since he was, lifting up, right? Lysander, struggles, and the wings try to keep him aloft, but the strength is leaving his form. He's getting closer and closer to the ground. Lysander has, one hand on his book, pressed against Lysander's chest, trying to steady him, with, the blade in his throat, as he's, on top of him as they plummet down towards the bottom of the chapel. They hit the stones, in the aftermath of the impact tremor of them falling, and the flames that lurch out of Lysander's body. Unfortunately, Necroku is swallowed by these flames and is destroyed. Bursts out into shrapnel, bone-like shrapnel. But when the dust clears, it is Lazarus who stands triumphant and tall, perched atop Lysander's defeated body, and the black blood is like gurgling out, gurgling out of the sickle head as Lazarus stares down into Lysander. And I think, like, for a moment, as the life is fleeting from Lysander, perhaps the flames in his eyes begin to dim, right? And the red disappears, and behind there are pale grayish blue eyes, human eyes, who are sort of seeing for the first time past the clouded judgment, past the malevolent influence, past the deception, and is now kind of becoming lucid and clear in these moments. And you can, like, see, like, maybe, like, as Lazarus, like, plucks the blade out from Lysander's throat, Lysander, like, clutches his neck and, like, looks to the left and, like, looks to the right, and can see the destruction and the viscera, and, like, people that he knew, his congregation, his village, are, like, cut up into pieces in this, like, sacrificial altar all around him. He's now laying in it, right? And there's probably, like, tears welling up at the sides of his eyes, right? And he's, like, gurgling through this pain, like, what have I done? What was my hand forced to do? And you can see, like, Lazarus is just standing above Lysander. There's a mask atop his face. You can't see if there is any empathy, you know, written into his features, but knowing Lazarus, it is probably a cold, unyielding, unflinching face that is gazing down upon the now awakening Lysander. Tell me, Kyrie, will be saved. Will be spared from this darkness, from the error of my ways. As Lazarus takes, puts his books back onto his side, and from his pelches of all of his, like, materials, sort of, like, leans down with his sickle in hand.
I promise you nothing, priest. I came here with but one goal, and that was to purge Kyrie of this perversion that has scoured its lands. You are the heart of this darkness. You are the horror that has plagued this village, this chapel. And now you must be cut away. If Kyrie has any hope of repairing itself, of restoring itself, of which I give you no oath, Kyrie is not my charge. It was yours, and you failed it, priest. Then its healing begins with your destruction.
And with those, like, final words, sort of like in a mercy killing, right? You just see the sickle, like, go towards the rest of Lysander's throat. And there is, like, one last sort of gurgle of surprise and pain as Lysander is finally put out of his misery. And the cold, the lucid eyes become cold, and they roll back as finally all life, both mortal and immortal life, peels its way out of Lysander's body, as Lazarus just, very stoically stands before what has happened, opens up his book, and begins reciting some incantations, doing what he has come here to do, which is harvest the soul of the horror which has plagued Kyrie, and begins to chant, and you can see, like, from all of the wounds that Lysander has endured, from skeletal hands and claws, all of that ichor begins to, like, pull upward out of his body like a wave of ink, right? Which it has like sort of these pulses of a reddish sentient light underneath it, out of the body, and you maybe even hear in a foreign, alien tongue beating like a devilish heartbeat within this mass. This like, evil influence that was inside of Lysander now freed from his body, becoming like more independently sentient, as Lazarus cracks off the sarcophagus off of his back, swings open wide the doors.
Hear me now, fiend. You may have been cunning enough to fool this loathsome priest, but I am far more knowledgeable in the ways of the other world, and I see you for what you are. You are no one's savior. You are no one's wellspring of salvation. You are fuel. You are a tool to be harvested and used, a resource to grow my power. Now, come, do as I bid. I command you. Enter this vessel and become one with my strength.
And that's when, finally the sarcophagus burns with, this ethereal light, and you can hear the fiendish voice kind of trying to resist and, croaking and roaring in resistance, but all of that ichor is, drawn into the portal of the necrobolic time chamber, right? Like some sort of drain, just sort of, swirling inside of it, until it pretty much empties Lysander's body. Like, Lysander's form just becomes this desiccated gray husk. It takes more than it probably gave out of the corpse of the priest, as it is all sucked up into the vessel, and then the vessel slams shut, keeping Lysander's dark god within it, as Lazarus has claimed Lysander's life and the prize which he had come to claim, which is the horror of Kyrie's soul. So let's see what it has here for us in terms of narrative. After you have killed Lysander, you may claim your reward. Pages of hymnals have been cut and rearranged into different patterns, plastered to the walls. One pattern resonates with you in particular. Gain the chant spell. In addition, if the vessel was fully attuned when you killed Lysander, you may reap his soul. In future versions of this game, this will be used to empower your equipment. For now, you hold on to it. You can use it later. So, as we talked about, this game is still in playtest, so we had a full vessel. In our instance, we would have been able to gain all of Lysander's power and grow our weapons, but because the game is still in playtest, we don't know what that will look like. But we would have done it, which is pretty cool for us. But we do gain a spell, which looks like it is written here. So, chant. So, oh, cool. So we would get the holy song or the unholy song that Lysander was teaching the congregation. So we sing an unholy song for all. All enemies within range cannot move during the next round. So this is 2 to 3. So it's a zone. And then if we would use a body part, we could move. And then if we would use a blood, we would heal for each enemy affected. Interesting. So this is a very crowd control type spell, right? We would be just siphoning them for health while we kite around the battlefield and keep them stuck in place. That's an interesting spell. It doesn't outright do any damage, because healing us doesn't necessarily damage them, right? Even though we would, I guess, narratively be kind of using their life force, but it doesn't technically deal damage. So that's all crowd control and all support. That's all healing. So that is a very unique spell. So hey, when the full version comes out, and we can once again take the mantle of Lazarus Grimstone, if we decide to, right? If the audience like this game, we could definitely play more in the future. But for now, this is all the playtest rules have for us, the realm of Kyrie. So for now, Lazarus's tale is soon coming to an end. But let's see here. Beans is going off in the chat. Yeah, I'm definitely gonna have to check the AI triggers for when he speaks to make sure he doesn't go too nutso. But all right, so that is sort of. Is there any other notes at the end of the Kyrie realm sheet to make sure I'm not missing anything about the story of this place? I don't believe so. I think that's everything. So really, everything is left up to us as to what happens with Kyrie. Will you finally be active in the voice chat? In which voice chat? Undercover? In the L1A voice chat? Or is there something going on at Neb? I might. I do have a little project I should be working on after this, but we'll see. Your server. Oh, are people in the voice chat right now? I didn't know. I don't have Discord running when I run the stream because God knows my computer would melt. But if there's something going on, I'll definitely check it and see what's up. So what happens with Lazarus towards the end of our tale? I think what would happen is we join now and then. Oh, okay. Well, that's, yeah. Always feel free to tag me if I'm around, if I'm not working or if I'm not writing more stuff for stream. Yeah, absolutely. I think what happens to Lazarus is, you know, Lazarus steps outside of the chapel, and the mists, you know, the ghostly choir has finally died down. With Lysander's death, the wraiths, the souls of the claimed that he has stolen for his dark god finally disappear. They dissipate, right? And the mists with them recede, which unfortunately, like, now lets a new light of dawn, like a new light of day, kiss the shores of Kyrie. But now everyone is sort of fully conscious and aware of all the massacre, the viscera, the horror that Lysander and his dark congregation have wrought. And so I think, like, there's probably this, like, almost metaphysical feeling, you know, of, like, something dark and terrible leaving the island. And so there has become a congregation of the villagers who have survived this onslaught, who have been holed up in the village, who have been defending themselves against all of the evils that Lysander has brought here. You know, they're sort of making a little a group around the church. And so Lazarus, battle-worn, weary, bloodied, but now empowered with some otherworldly force, right? Marches his way towards the front of the church and pushes open the double doors. And as he does so, you know, sees all of these people who are sort of waiting patiently, expectantly. Some almost, like, they open the doors and they see Lazarus and they drop to their knees and, like, begin all of these supplicating, these prayerful gestures, you know, seeing him as this, like, second coming, this, like, the savior figure for delivering them from the evils of what has befallen their land. And Lysander has talked to a couple of villagers before who revealed to him who Lysander was and, like, everything that had happened. So I think maybe a few approach him attentively, almost like in awe, like as they approach, like one might even get down on their knee, like almost as if they were bowing in like this, like, royal manner. Master Necromancer, it is we, your humble few, your humble servants, who have managed to defy Lysander's corruption and see that you have freed us from his dark yokes. Thank you, Master Necromancer. Sort of, like, you know, fall to his feet and, like, are giving him all of this admiration. Please, tell us what becomes of us now. What becomes of Kyrie after Lysander's fall? Tell us. And, like, Lazarus just sort of looks down from behind his mask in the dark folds of his hood. Why do you look to me to deliver your final sentencing? I was nothing to you before I stepped onto your shores. I am nothing to you now. But Master Necromancer, you've come, you've slain the horror, you've liberated us. I did nothing in service of you, fool. I did everything in
service of myself. And I have claimed what was rightfully mine by trial of combat here. Yes, your horror has been expunged, but this does not make me your leader, your one to bring you to a new age. That is something you must decide for yourselves, and whether or not you survive that journey, that pilgrimage to whatever new faith you forge. I cannot. I want no part of it. Do not write me in your hymnals. Do not quote me in your books of law or prayer. We are strangers, just as I have come, and just as I will leave. And like all of the townsfolk are looking at each other, distraught, confused, bewildered. They were, they've always sort of been sheep, right? Like flocking to a figure of power, whether it was Lysander or someone else. They were looking to be led. Now, under the weight of the responsibility of the paths of their own lives, I think they are feeling woefully unequipped and overwhelmed by the task. As they look towards the church, blood-stained wall of the hymnals scrawled across the passageways in these arcane manners. They grow pale and they grow confused. What is left of your Lysander lies deceased within the main prayer halls, as well as the remains of your congregation. Do with him and them what you will, though I recommend a rightful burial. Dead and their wandering souls have a way of riling when not given their proper rights. Let that be one last bit of advice for you before my departure.
And to that, Lazarus just begins to walk down the steps, descend the staircase, and the people just part for him, on either side. Just this huddled mass of utterly helpless people who now have to come to grips with all that has befallen them and somehow turn it around. Lysander, I think, marches back towards the anchor, which was this sort of black obelisk, the point 1 on the map here, the anchor point where all the transdimensional travelers, the necromancers, use to whisk themselves between the realms in rape, right? And I think approaching it, it begins to resonate with him, right? Some sort of newfound power. It senses that he has claimed the horror, and you can see some of the arcane sigils glowing with sort of this twilight ethereal energy. As Lazarus approaches it, puts his hand upon the surface and sort of communes with it silently for a moment. Takes one last look, peels his shoulder back towards the silhouette of the imperious black spires and towers of the corrupted church as the mists finally are breaking and a pale new sun is drenching Kyrie. A feeling of hope, a feeling of aimlessness, a feeling of possibility, but also dread. There's a mix of emotions washing over the people, and it's reflected in the land, As Lazarus finally takes a look back towards the obelisk.
What will be,
are sort of his final words for this place, as he sort of steps forward almost into the obelisk, and in a flash of light, he is absorbed into its pyramid-like structure, and in a beam of cosmic energy is jettisoned into the sky, past the atmosphere, into the astral sea above our heads, and into the multiverse, whisked away to wherever he spends his time, meditating on his dark magics and his next conquests, as he leaves Kyrie and goes on to his next adventure. And yeah, I think that is a perfect place to say that that is a full playthrough, a 4-part episode full playthrough of Reap by Gila RPGs. I would like to quickly give a spiel once again for all of us who are, you know, might have been watching this but are just getting accustomed to what Reap is. So once again, Reap is a game by Gila RPGs. It is currently in playtest. It is going to be kickstarted very, very soon. All that information is visible in the Twitch chat, as well as it will be in the YouTube description once this video goes live there. Please support Gila. I love a lot of their games. Reap was built out of the foundation of Rune, which is another great game by them, which is fully released, which you can play in its entirety right now. But if you like highly thoughtful, tactical, puzzle-solving kind of games, where you get to feel like an awesome dark wizard with necromancy powers, then this is the game for you. And yeah, I had a great time. I would say, you know, final thoughts playing through Reap and comparing it against Rune. I like so much of what Reap has done with the foundation of Rune. I love the system of using. I'm gonna go to just chat. I love the systems of using the reaped body parts for empowering your spells. I love that the spells are variable, that have different effects that can be used depending on the resources that you spend. I think that system is great. This is in playtest, so there's still a lot to, you know, that'll be ironed out. I will say, in terms of replicating the Souls-like experience, which is what Rune was about, and to an extent is sort of what Reap is about, I think Rune does a better job of making you feel like Souls-like in the way that you suffer more. And I remember, at least with the beginning realm of Rune, the death penalty, like the resurrection penalty, felt very Souls-like, like you were cursed, and you had to like do a battle to pay penance before you could be unbroken from it, right? So that felt a lot more Dark Soulsy, whereas in Reap, which we didn't even die. That's another thing too, is like they're very different play experiences. Like Rune, you suffer. You are weaker than a lot of enemies, and you will die unless you quote-unquote get good. With Reap, we didn't really suffer too much damage at all throughout the entire run of the game until we got to Lysander. Like, cumulatively, many battles kind of like ticked down our health, but in one particular fight, we never got into a really dicey situation. We never really had to fight for our lives. Not until Lysander, who, of course, is the boss. But, you know, there's sort of like a different feeling there. So, whereas in Rune, you're kind of struggling against every enemy. It feels very Souls-like. And death has a lot of weight, and like you have to pay for dying, right? In Reap, you're a lot stronger than most enemies. There's sort of a power fantasy element to the combat, which, you know, does kind of steal a little bit from the puzzly elements, because it's like, if I can win through brute force enough, then like how much puzzle do I really have to do to win? Whereas every movement I made in Rune felt purposeful and dire. Reap feels like it was a lot more forgiving. But it does give you, there is something to be said about the power fantasy of playing a powerful necromancer, and it is kind of cool that the only monster in the game that kind of gives you a feeling of equivalent threat is the boss, right? So it's kind of like you are kind of walking around this realm as the boss the entire time, and it's only another boss level threat that really gives you any feeling of like existential dread, right? Which is cool. Also, the death penalty in Reap is very forgiving. I believe you lose like some of your resources, maybe all, I can't remember, either some or all, and you come back right where you died, right? Instead of where in Rune you were sent back to the starting zone, kind of like in the Souls game, you're kind of sent back to the bonfire. So, you know, enemies in both iterations resurrect, so you still have to fight the enemies that you already killed if you've died. But there's a bit of a more of a penalty in Rune, because you kind of have to go back to point one and get back to where you were, which means other things can happen, fights have to rehappen, events may trigger on the clock. Whereas in Reap, you kind of resurrect right back where you were, so you don't have to fight through those enemies. Again, you don't lose resources. You your clock doesn't tick, you know? So, you know, just different experiences, but, you know, definitely if you want a feeling of more like struggling to survive, more Souls-like vibes, more like get good, I say play Rune. If you want, and especially if you want to play more of like a, you know, forlorn soldier knight kind of character, because most of the items that are in, at least from what I've played of Rune so far, are more likening themselves to like, you know, weapon-based fighter with some magic or like supernatural skill. Whereas in Reap, you are very obviously more magic-centered, magic-focused. And you have a different power level in terms of like who and what your character is. But I think the systems are great. I think that the fact that the Rune rules now, as far as I understand it, the base set are now free to iterate upon through Gila is great because, like I said, the system is very thinky and very puzzly and very tactile, and it scratches a lot of itches for, I think, more players who are engaged more with crunch and grid and like, you know, sort of like wargaming. So I think you could do a lot with that framework, absolutely. And once again, love the new resource management system. I think that's the biggest upgrade for me personally from Rune to Reap, and I hope some of that becomes backwards compatible. You know, I hope there are people. I remember asking Gila when they were in chat for the first game, like, is there any plans of making Reap and Rune kind of like cross or intercompatible since the system's the same? And I believe there was hints of it that maybe could be. So that'd be very fun to take a Reap character to the Rune worlds, or the Rune characters to the Reap worlds, and see how they fare. Would be very unique and fun and cool. Or even like mixing the equipment and the spells, like, because they're kind of built off of a similar framework, could be very cool. So a lot of potential. But regardless, all that being said, both are excellent experiences, very similar, but, you know, you'll have your own flavor that you'll resonate with when you play. But I highly recommend both. Please support Gila through the Kickstarter and through all their updates they're going to be posting on Twitter. Once again, you can follow them and their progress on their Kickstarter and this project through all the links provided, because they have been a very big inspiration for me playing a lot of different games on this channel, and their games too are excellent. So I believe Rune was actually voted a contender for like top solo RPG of the year. So I mean, that just goes to show you the quality of creation that is happening there. But with that being said, that is the final episode of Reap. So until maybe a future release or something, we're going to put it on ice for now. Lazarus is going to teleport into the ether, and he'll stew over what, you know, nefarious plans he has coming up. But for now, you know, we're gonna leave them be and give way to other playthroughs that we've had sitting for a while. We have a Firelights playthrough we could return to. We could have a Cypher System playthrough we can return to. There's also some other playthroughs from people I've been connecting with on Twitter, which I would love to see played here. So we got a lot of games to go through together in the future. But I think for now, Reap will rest its sickle for a future time. And I think we're also going to probably end stream soon. So for all of you watching at home, I have been Wolfe Scott. I am your host and your dungeon master and your game master for any RPGs we're playing, whether they be solo or group games. What is level 1 adventuring? We are a role-playing game and tabletop role-playing game content platform. We're on YouTube. We're here on Twitch. Please follow us on all the socials, including our Discord. We laugh, we dance, we kiss, we schmooze, as Hades would say. Lord of the Dead, how you doing? And we also will be playing D&D there, 5th edition, as a play-by-post space. We're setting that up, so that'll be fun when that gets up and running. Big thank you to Tabletop Audio, StreamLabs, StreamSpell, and TwitchBot for all of the digital, visual, audio, and interactive elements that you're seeing on the stream. And you can help yourself out by getting all of those for yourself with our information down below in like the sort of partnership area, and anything you buy or, you know, use from there kicks us back a little bit, and we love that for us. So thank you. And once again, big thank you to everyone who has subbed, who has donated. All of your contributions has helped us to be able to afford the things like the new community emotes, like the new sub badges, like the bits badges, like I mean, all that art that is now going to be able to be used for the community by the community was only possible from that community, right? So I just want to thank you so much for your time and your energy and attention as always, because it is so appreciated, and seeing it reflected tangibly like in our interface that people can play with is so cool. And that's all because of you. So continue, you know, I mean, it's very easy for me to say, right? Like, continue subbing and donating all stuff, but, you know, the more subs we get, the more bits we get, the more slots we open, so we can have more art, we can have more characters that people really like. We could have a Necroku emoji, we could have a Lazarus emoji or emote. You know, we get it from any characters that people seem to like or gravitate towards as the series goes on. Those can become tangible and real in our games. Oh, Fleetwood says, thanks for the stream. Thank you for coming, Fleetwood. Thank you so much. As always, you are so appreciated here. And yeah, so we're going to be back tomorrow for Wednesday. I'm pretty sure we have enough people to have a D&D stream. So we're going to see what happens in the Cave of the Forsaken. Creep emoji when, as the mod yells at Undercover, says allow. Creep emoji when, listen, it can be. I didn't want to get it firsthand because I was like, is Creep too new to be automatically an emoji? But I mean, obviously Creep has become a very big fan favorite. So I think it's like at 20 sub points or something, we get new emoji slots. So could definitely be a new character that gets added to the roster when that happens. So I just want to say, yeah, thank you so much for all that. D&D 5e tomorrow, maybe Creep again. And then we'll be off for the rest of the week probably, unless I do like a pickup stream for being off on the Monday holiday. I might maybe do like a little writing session or something. I have a couple different things I could do depending on how busy I get. But if not, we'll definitely see you tomorrow and then next week. So until then, from the bottom of my heart, thank y'all, and I hope you have an excellent rest of your night. I will see you on the Discord and on the next stream. And until then, be happy, be well, drink your water, as Kamani likes to say. He's not here, so I'll tell you, drink your water. And we'll see you soon. So have a good night. See ya, friends. I'm going to roll that outro.